reset button in life. So that's what we do, and there's nothing that we won't do to help a student out. But it starts with recruiting students. And I love to tell people, Jesus, he met people where they were, both physically and spiritually. And we have to meet individuals where they are. Pre-COVID, and I'm hopefully about to start back, but going into the prison to talk to individuals coming out of prison to say, hey, there's people out here that will walk with you and help you re-enter society. We get food and we'll go hand it out into the community. We were with the Housing Authority for a grant that they're getting, but we do a lot of recruiting in Patterson Court, Gibbs Village, some of the housing areas, and also in Lowndes County and Birmingham where we have campuses. But we meet them where they are and talk them that God has something better for them. A lot of times it's changing the mindset of an individual, and one of the speakers talked about believing. You know, there's a little saying that, you know, well, I believe when I see it, but that's not correct. I'll see it when I believe it. And you have to start speaking hope into these individual lives. And all too often when they come to us, you know, we're meeting them where they are, so we know they're not ready. But they'll come to us and say, how much money am I going to make? You know, where are you going to get me a job? We got a lot in Birmingham that want to work at Amazon. Where are you going to get me a job at? But I always ask them, well, what's your purpose? You know, your career is what you paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. Yeah. And once you find your calling, you'll find that peace. But to really change their mindset, and it's not about the dollar, it's about your purpose. And when you find your purpose, you'll find your dollar. I live, and God showed me, if you want a blessing, you got to be a blessing. But to find your purpose and to work in those things. So once we recruit the students, our program is 9 weeks long, and we have 6 weeks in class, and we run it exactly like a job. They got to show up. We start class at 9 o'clock, so they got to get there by 8:45. We drug test everyone coming into the program. We will let them come in positive for drugs, because we do believe in second chances, but their second drug test has to be clean. And we do that because when they go to Amazon, they're going to drug test them. But we do random drug screens throughout the program. If they do something wrong, we give them chores to do. They get written up, just like you know, Major Davis used to do me back in patrol. He broke me up a couple times. But we run it just like a job. But we teach soft skills to the individuals, and we talked a lot about the colleges and the community colleges. There's a program called Ready to Work. They teach soft skills to individuals. Well, we teach soft skills to individuals, and starting next week, the Alabama Community College is coming to train our teachers on how to teach Ready to Work. So when they graduate Hope Inspired Ministries, they'll also be graduating with Ready to Work certificate, which is a statewide recognized credentialing. That also recognized by several industries in the state of Alabama. Plus, it'll be 3 college credit hours when they graduate the program. But at each day we have meals where volunteers bring in. There's countless volunteer opportunities if your church wants to, if your business wants to. We have businesses and churches and individuals that'll bring in lunch every day to our students. Because a lot of our students come to us, they're homeless, coming from a background where they don't eat much. And often we use that as kind of to keep them coming back for more. Everybody gains about 10 pounds going through the class. And it doesn't matter if it's 30, food for 30, and we have 10 students, there's 0 food left over. They'll come back for second plate, third plate, as many as it's there. But also during lunchtime, we have mentors that will come in, and we're in constant need of mentors. We match the guys up to guys and ladies up to the ladies, where you know, during the lunch hour, they sit down and they work through, you know, the smallest of problems to us, but to them it's huge. It's a huge problem. So they'll work through those things. Throughout that, we have career coaches that work with the individuals one-on-one. We make a doctor's appointment. I met a dentist outside out here. We've had students that have abscessed tooth. If you have nothing, now if I had a toothache, I'd go to the dentist. But if you have nothing, you have nowhere to go. So we will help them, walk with them. I took one student, he had mental health issues, which is one of the barriers that we have to break down, that I went with and sat with at the mental health facility on Upper Tumper Road. And when we went to the back, you know, they said, well, who's going to be your caregiver? Or who's going to lift you as an emergency contact? He looked at me and I was like, okay. but he had nobody, he had nothing. But even those in mental health, if they get proper medication for mental health, they can succeed and be successful just like any one of us can. So the career coaches work with them to get their identification. We help get their birth certificate, social security card, identification card. We go to court with them to advocate for them. The judges know who we are. The judges will sentence individuals to a certain amount of community service hours and count Hope Inspired Ministries because they know that they'll come out working at the end of the program. We had one gentleman that just came to he's graduated, and matter of fact, just got his driver's license, but when he came to us, he came out of prison, and we were helping him. Phenomenal student, Roger's his name. He needed to get his identification. So we took him to the Alabama driver's license office to get his Alabama state ID, and they said, well, we'd love to help him, but he's got to have his social security card before he get his ID card. So we said, okay. So we went to social security to get his social security card. And what did they tell us? Well, you got to have Alabama ID card before you get your social security card. Now, if Roger would have been by himself coming out of prison, he would have reverted back to what he knows. So we went back, and they did say, well, if you go get him registered to vote, we'll count that as identification, and we'll give him his Alabama ID card. He just got out of prison. His charge was robbery, which makes him ineligible to vote. But we were with him. We're able to open some other doors to where we were able to get his ID card and then to go back and get his social security card, which in turn he was able to get his job. And I just talked with his employer right before coming here, and he's doing phenomenal. He's working at Alabama Steel as a welder. So he's been successful. He did prison, came out of prison. He couldn't get his driver's license because he had 2 tickets in Evergreen. But we were able to work with the courts to get those 2 tickets taken care of. He drove our car to go take the driver's test, and I've sat under the tree on Coliseum, under the pecan tree with my kids, 2 of my kids. I got 1 more to go, but then also some of our students to get their driver's license. So there's nothing we won't do, but there are barriers in people's lives that sometimes we say, why don't that guy just get a job? Well, there's barriers in their life that any one of us would fail at. So if you break those barriers down, they'll be as successful as you and I. So we do a lot with addiction. If the individual has addiction, if they can get the proper help they need for that addiction, then they too can be successful with that as well. At the conclusion of the 6-week class cycle, we place them on an internship. And we do ask them throughout there kind of what their purpose is, what their calling is, and try to mirror that up with them. But we also teach them step 1 is an ABC process. Step 1 is to get a job. You do a job well, and then B, a better job will come along. And then when you do a better job well, then C, that career job will come along. And all too often the mindset of individuals is, no, I just want to start straight with a C. Well, there's a pathway to get there. There's a process to get there. So at the conclusion of that, we match them up. And to the employers, you may know employers that may want to hire second chance individuals. There's a 3-week internship that we do that's unpaid. So it's a win-win for everybody. The employer, they get to test drive their employee. But for our students, they get a fair shot regardless of their background. Because if we're being honest and we got a stack of applications and you come across an application that says this person did 25 years at Tutwiler, you're probably going to go to this next one that may have a 4-year degree from Auburn University that we talked about. But the best employee may be the other one, just like some others mentioned up there. And that 25-year employee, or 25-year at Tutwiler, that person works at Hope Inspired Ministries. She came through the program in 2017 because when she got out of Tutwiler after doing 25 years, while I was at the police department, she was over there for 25 years. She came out of prison and gave $15 and said, go be successful. Now, how many of you have been successful? Luckily, she had heard about Hope Inspired Ministries. She came there, was an honor student, and Hope Inspired Ministries hired her. And you talk about diversity. I mean, we have a diverse staff. Here I'm a cop on the scene. We've got a guy out of the Army. We've got a young lady that come out of 25 years at Tutwiler, another battling addictions. It's diverse, and when it's diverse, it's better because you get a whole complete picture of what an individual needs. And the greatest moment at Hope Inspired Ministries is at the end of the program. They do a cap and gown graduation to where they wear a cap, they wear a gown, they walk the aisle. We don't have a guest speaker. The student is a guest speaker. They get to share in that moment, and that's their wow moment. That's their launch into their career path, into their calling that God made them for. So I'd encourage you, if you're in Montgomery, Birmingham, or Lowndes, and I know DYS is coming up. We started the campus at DYS this year, and we also teach at the Foundry in Bessemer. I would encourage you to catch one of our graduations. And if you go, right now we are a nonprofit, so we are funded by you guys, by churches, by grants, and right now we're competing with we're applying for a $100,000 grant with the Gannett Foundation, who owns USA Today and also the Montgomery Advertiser, and we're competing with 246 other nonprofits in the country to get those. And if you want to help us in that cause, we finished first place in the nation in the first leg of the race. Now we've slipped back into, I think, like 12th place, but they count the number of donors and also the amount of donations. If you go to our website at hopeinspiredministries.org, right there on the front page, there's a spot that says donate. Even if you donate $10, it'll help us win the competition to get closer to winning that $100,000, which will help change lives. At the police department, we had a $50 million budget. I didn't have to ask for a dime, but nonprofit world you do. But that's okay, because I'm asking for change lives. So thank y'all for listening to me. Is there any questions? Any questions?
What's the population that you have? What's the breakdown of gender, male versus female?
It varies, and I have the statistics, and I don't have them with me. But I can tell you the classes, like the Lowndes County class, the current class started with 18 individuals, 17 ladies, and 1 male. At the beginning of each class, and this reminded me at the beginning of each class, we do what we call a life map, where we require, and it's the most therapeutic thing I've ever seen, even though we're not therapists. But they have a life map, and on this, it's a poster board, but they have to draw their life story out. And when they start talking about the brokenness in their life, they hear the person next to them talk about the same brokenness, and they realize they're not broken, we're all broken. But I tell you that because in Lowndes County, of the 17 ladies, each one of their life maps is the exact same. They were a young teenager seeking to be loved, found a guy, got pregnant, man left, but then it's repeating itself. And they're constantly seeking for hope, the hope that we talked about. Montgomery, it's a little more half and half, and Birmingham is about half and half as well. Jolie, I don't know if you remember the stats right off.
We have a 50-50 men versus women, and we have a 4% rate of past graduates over the last 3 years. Only 4% of our graduates went back into addiction or moved back into incarceration. So 96% of our graduates leave our program employed, stay employed for at least a year.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to talk to you after about an opportunity.
Yes.
Our graduation is August 26th at Christ Church,
Yes.
6 o'clock.
Is it age? So it's 18 and up. We have served some 17-year-olds, and when I mentioned DYS, they can serve out of DYS up to 21, but we've had some 17, 18, 19-year-olds. But Birmingham, this week I was up there, we sang happy birthday to a 66-year-old man that said, you know what, I want to push the reset button. It's never too late. It's never too late. And the classes, it's unique that the classes, sometimes you may have an 18-year-old, sometimes a 54-year-old, which was the case in our last class, and the 54-year-old was poured into the 18-year-old. And remember what I said, if you want a blessing, you got to be a blessing. Mm-hmm. Well, you learn the secret to life is to pour into others. But we go 18 and up. As long as the individual can work and wants to work, then we'll take them into the program. Any other questions?
All right, get y'all in the hand, y'all. Hope Inspired Ministries, y'all. They have a table. definitely for sure if you want to discuss, but, you know, diverse panel, right? You know, we want to bring in different perspectives, different viewpoints. And so let's keep it moving on that U-tip. My good friend, Meryles Gilbert, please make your way to the podium. Meryl, great friend of mine. Originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. You know, he can say it a little bit better than me. And I mean, just the inspiration for his family, for his sons, I mean, for us, outstanding, standout athlete at Alabama State University. I mean, I always hear the stories. It's 20-some years, 30-some years later, we still hear about him. And I mean, just tip-top physical specimen. He knows the importance of the physical, right, to be able to impact the mental. And so he signed on right away too. I snatched him when I snatched George. And so hey, let's get a hand for Mr. Meryles Gilbert.
Thank you, brother. Hey, Q's. I'll be playing. You know, the brother gave me the mic, so you know. Nah, he didn't. The brother gave me the mic. But it just sounds so good when you say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step at a time. So, but we say all journeys begin with one step. And so, bro, well, I want to applaud you for the step that you are taking by doing what you're doing. You know, and this is a beautiful thing. So, you know, this is the spark. You know, we're not worried about who's not here. We're just going to be focusing on the people who are here. You know, and I told Bro Speedy that I was going to do something for him. And somebody said it couldn't be done. But Speedy with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be the one who wouldn't say so until he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done. And he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that, Speedy." At least no one has ever done it. But he took off his coat and he took off his hat. And the first thing we knew, he begun it. With the lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quit. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done. And he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you, one by one, all the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle right in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that couldn't be done, and you'll do it. And so we know that my brother Speedy, you done it, brother, and appreciate you. But I want to talk about, there was this song that was released in 1975 of November, and it was this brothers from Philadelphia, and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and they released an album called "Wake Up Everybody." And in it, I mean, this is just such a beautiful song. I know if you probably heard the song, and I'm not gonna sing it. But the brothers was I mean, it's such a beautiful song because the brothers was given a charge in that song, and it said that wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed, no more backwards thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war, and poverty. But then I love this part when he says, wake up all the teachers. Yeah. Wake up, after the charge of everybody, because apparently somebody was asleep. They felt somebody was asleep. So he said, wake up all the teachers. Time to teach a new way. maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. Because they're the ones who coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can. So I want to continue with that charge to the teachers, that we have to wake up. We have to teach a new way. We know that there's challenges. We know that there's challenges because of the COVID. We know that there's challenges because of all of the things that are going on within our communities. But we have to change our mindset. Because only the limits of our mindset can determine the boundaries of our future. Only the limits of our mindset can determine the boundaries of our future. So as a teacher, I never wanted to reach one child. Because if I'm only reaching one child out of a class of 30 children, I have failed. So we have to come out of that mindset of we just trying to save one. We just want to save two. No, we want to save everybody. And it could be done. It can be done. Because it's all about the mindset. We have to understand that our universe is infinite. The universe is infinite. We come from the universe, so we come from an infinite place that makes us infinite. We can go on and 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 on. So, but it's all about our attitudes. You have to change your attitude. And attitude is very, very important. It's very important. And I can explain to you and show you how important attitude is. Now, if you look at the letter A in attitude, we'll give the letters a numerical number. A is the first number, so we'll attribute that to number 1. T is the 20th alphabet, so we would give it 20. So attitude is spelled A-T-T-I-T-U-D-E. A is 1, T is 20. We have another T, that's 20. I is the 9th number, the letter, I'm sorry. T is the 20th. U is the 21st letter. D is the 4th letter. E is the 5th letter. If you tally it all up, you will get 100. You will get 100. You can do it for yourself. You will get 100. You know, when we talk about what's being real, when we say 100. Keep it 100. So we keep it at 100, we got to keep it 100 with our attitude. Because attitude represents the quote-unquote perfect number of being 100. So we have to be 100. We have to change our mindset. We have to continue to wake up. We have to continue to teach a new way. Because the children are not the quote-unquote same children that we were. Not that we were any better than them. Because you can't blame the youth. You can't blame the youth. The youth got to come from somebody. They got to come from someone. So we can't blame the youth. We have to look into the mirror at ourselves. You know, people have, and not just because